right, guys.
$3.
One day,
same tree.
tree.
Oh my God, I'm so
Woo!
Holy shit! Get a shot of these.
2 farms this year. Number 1 is done.
Did you say bye, Kevin?
I did. I already did. Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin. Bye, Kevin.
Smoking. Look at that. You destroyed it.
Joey takes
The shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers.
All right, episode 37, Deer Shop Podcast, coming to you here from the Deer Shop. Today in studio we have Ethan and Dylan, and we're here to talk about bows. I am Isaac, if you can't see, if you're listening. I'm hosting today because Caleb just had his baby, so congrats to him.
Got a new family member.
Yes, we have our first of that generation, first niece for us.
Mm-hmm.
Blair, Virginia, born a couple days ago.
Yep.
Congrats to Caleb. But anyways.
And Lindsay.
And Lindsay. She did most of the work.
Yeah. Caleb just sat there.
Yeah, but they are home. They are well. And today, it's currently April, what is today? April 6th. So we're just doing some filler. We're getting ready to leave for trout camp, which if you guys tuned in last week, we talked about that a little bit. I didn't ever actually listen to it.
Either did I.
I don't know what got through till the final copy, but that podcast had a lot of editing because we got a little bit carried away. We started talking about some stories and some drinking and some blah, blah, blah. So if you want to hear those stories, go listen to last week's podcast. But today, the topic is our bow setups.
Yep.
Mostly because Ethan decided to upgrade from his, what did he have before? A Hoyt Powerhawk.
From 2009.
Yes. So this bow was old. He used it all the way through the Navy. Did you kill any deer with it last year?
Yeah, I killed one deer with it last year.
Okay.
It's actually the only deer I ever killed with it was last year.
So you killed a doe with it?
Yeah.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Spanny shot his big buck with it 10 years ago, whenever that was.
Yeah. In our woods?
That buck, yeah. So we'll start off. That was Ethan's old bow. Let's talk about your new setup since you have the new everything.
So I got the new Mathews lift, 33-inch ATA. It's light. It's powerful. It's definitely an upgrade from what I had. But yeah, we shot today. We got the feet per second, and it's very surprising on what it is.
Yeah, so run through your setup a little bit. Weight, axle to axle, all that stuff. Let's just hear your sight, your rest, your stabilizer.
Yep, so I got the 33 axle to axle.
Yeah, the bow is huge. If you're watching the video, you can see, but in person, the bow is enormous.
Yeah, 30-inch draw, 70 pounds. It's sitting at like 69.2 or something. We put it on the meter the other day at Cromer's. I got the AccuTouch XL, AccuTouch Carbon Pro sight, single pin.
Which that's a nifty sight.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Has a lot of add-ons, like a lot of you can set your distances so you can just hear for clicks, which I'm not sure if I'm going to use yet.
So,
I'm not
so when we were playing around with that sight, we were clicking it when it was going from yard to yard. Is that because those were set?
No, so they're down here.
Okay.
All the way down here on this side. So if you go that far, it does click.
Okay.
There's built-in.
But normally it's just a smooth.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it was clicking before, that's because
it was all the way down.
I wondered what those were.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you could set those to like 20, 30, 40, so you can
click right.
If you're in the
to
tree
it.
stand, you range, then you can just 20, 30.
Yeah. See, that's
40.
pretty nifty.
Yeah.
But
some little more.
There's
feel
that. Bought it off Tyler, so a little bit of a discount there.
And
I got the
bridge lock sight.
Yep, right inside the bow.
So it takes away any mounting, anything like that. So that's kind of like a top tier sight. What is that MSRP, like $400?
Yeah, I think it's $420 or something, $450.
Oh, just so everybody kind of has an idea how expensive this stuff is.
Yeah. And then I did get the QAD MX2 drop weight rest. It has the dampeners on it now, so the rubber dampeners on the side. Dylan has the MX1, I believe.
Yeah.
So just original QAD. Doesn't have any dampeners, which doesn't really affect much. A little bit quieter.
So is yours all plasticky, or is it?
No, mine's metal, but I think I can put dampeners in it if I already get it. I'm not sure. It has the same cutouts for it.
Okay. Because that's one of the things I didn't like about the QAD was how plasticky they were, but you guys have like the upgraded versions.
This is aluminum, I believe.
They're all metal.
It's metal, yes.
Because if anybody shot the QAD, what is it, the HDX or something?
Yeah.
It's like super plasticky.
Yeah, flimsy.
But it goes right into the bow, just like kind of like the sight, so there's no mounting brackets or anything. It's just connected straight to it.
It's Picatinny rail, kind of clamps on the backside of it.
Yeah, so it keeps. So basically, on the new Mathews bows, they want this to be as smooth as possible on the right side of the riser, and that's so you can put a quiver that's mounted very tightly there.
And it reduces a lot of the weight too.
Okay.
Yeah, it reduces weight, and so I was always the type of guy that never shot with a quiver on, and now with this setup, I shoot with a quiver on.
Yeah, so with my bow, compared to Ethan's bow, all this stuff sticks out and adds extra weight that he wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha. We'll talk about my bow in a second.
Shout out to Cromer for the third axis grip. Me and Isaac both run them. He makes them himself. Any color you want.
So, yeah, what's his company called?
Third Axis Designs.
Third Axis Design, which he's got a pretty cool story with that company. Maybe we'll get him on the podcast to talk about it. But he does a lot of 3D printing, and he makes some parts for some pretty big companies. So we'll try to get him on the podcast sooner or later.
And then I just got the stabilizer from Mathews as well. Nothing crazy.
And that's also they
Bridge
call that
lock.
the
Bridge
bridge lock.
lock, yeah.
So all that stuff's a bridge lock.
Goes right into the riser, so it's very streamlined.
So
everything's in line.
It's a really nifty setup, and it's really tight and light and
Quiet.
expensive.
It reduces a lot of vibrations.
It is very quiet.
Yeah. And expensive.
Yeah. What would you say you're into this?
With arrows and release, I'm up to 2,300.
2,300.
And that's with the discount on the site.
Okay, so MSRP, you're probably about 25.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's what a new.
And it's not even fully. I don't have the feet for it. I don't have the quiver. And then
It's just small stuff.
the silent.
Silent Connect system.
Yeah.
It's like $80. Just
Yeah,
use those little tabs.
so a top tier bow is going to run you almost $3,000 for a full
but
setup.
this is full setup if you're starting, because like a lot of stuff, like I would just take off my bow, put on a new bow, so it'd basically be the $1,200 into the new bow.
And we'll do the comparisons at the end. We'll talk about everyone's setup. But Ethan shot his through the chrono today. So he's shooting a lift 33, 70 pounds, 30-inch draw, so that really helps. He has a 460 grain arrow, and he's shooting 288 feet per second was around the average. And that gives him 84 pounds of energy, foot-pounds of energy. So his momentum or kinetic energy, however you do that.
And then I'm shooting the 4mm VAP arrow.
So
with
Victory VAPs.
Yeah, Victory Archery VAP. 250 spine, long draw length, a lot of poundage.
Yeah,
And
how
then-
long was your arrow? I had it written down. 29.75 inches on the arrow. That's from the valley of the knock to the point. So 29 3/4 inch arrow. And he had an FOC. For any of the real arrow nerds listening, his front of center was 12.2%.
So it's
that's
right, right in the pocket.
Yeah, pretty good number. They want you to be like 12 to 15 for if you believe in the high kinetic energy momentum stuff, which Dylan's setup's a little different. We'll talk about that in a second.
And then I got the Zinger fletching, so new style fletching. No glue, no nothing. You can just put them on there. They fall off. You put them back on. I like them so far. Good arrow flight. Haven't had any problems. I was shooting in the rain one day, and the target was wet, and the arrow was wet, and my arrows were going right through the target, and those just popped off.
So
Didn't tear.
these slid right off?
Yep. They were in front of the target.
I think I'm going to try to shoot these this year. So if anybody's not familiar, it's like a 3D printed, basically a miniature 3D printed fletch that just slides onto your arrow.
Based out of South Michigan. They got here pretty quick. Us being Ohio.
So
But I like them.
small company.
Lifetime warranty.
I think I'm going to try those. And they seem to shoot very well for
Yeah.
you so far.
Perfect, yeah. No problems.
You haven't shot them with the Broadheads yet?
I have not, but they're 4 fletch, so
Yeah,
shouldn't
they
have any
they
problems.
should do
The
pretty
only
well.
thing I'd be worried about is, like you're saying, shooting through a target. But if you're out west deer hunting or something, shooting through and getting your arrow popping off, and then when you're on a hunt like that, you obviously try and keep a couple more in your bag or something just in case they fall off.
So I
but
would-
anything like that can happen with any fletching.
If they fall off, I don't have to glue it like you guys do. If
Yeah.
if yours rip off, your arrow's
well,
done.
that's what I was telling Isaac. It wouldn't be a bad idea to keep, from when we go hunting out west, keep a handful of
Couple
those,
extra of
3
those.
of them in our pocket, because practicing or losing arrows or fletchings just sometimes get caught on a limb and rip or something.
Even ordering 6 of them, having 2 arrows
Yeah.
with them on that, you can just take them out in the woods with you.
yeah.
We'll see how they perform come season. The only thing I read about them is that some people were complaining that they were coming off inside the animal and clogging up the blood
hole.
the blood hole, so the wound hole.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, they were
I wonder
clogging
if
up
you just
that.
put
and
a little dab of glue on top and bottom just to see.
Yeah,
Some people put strips of
We were just messing with them, and they're held on there pretty darn good. Like, I wouldn't be able to do this with my fletchings without them possibly ripping. So
Yeah.
I would assume they're just about the same durability factor as the fletchings.
and these are the second generation of them. They sell still the first of them. They sell 3 vein, 4 vein, and then they even sell 6 vein for
Yeah.
turkey hunting for the big broadhead stabilization on the arrow.
See, the one thing I hate about fletching your own arrows and fletching and blah, 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 is as soon as you tear one of these, it will mess your wrap up, it'll mess your alignment, and you're pretty much redoing the whole arrow.
Yep.
So those might be a little costly, but
I mean,
you're not
they're
really
$36 for 12 of them.
Yeah, you're
The
not
amount
really
of time
spending
it-
any more.
The amount of time it takes me to fletch arrows and put everything together.
And the money you're spending. So to fletch,
Yeah.
so 12 wraps plus all the fletchings and glue and stuff, you're probably spending about the same amount of money.
And these are lifetime warranties, so if I rip, I just send them back and they send me a new one.
Well, that's pretty cool.
But you also have a lot more time into fletching.
Yeah,
Time versus slipping them on and shooting.
So I think I'm going to try those as well. We'll see. We'll see where the season goes.
And then obviously they sell them in all different diameter for arrows. You just do the little chart they have. And pretty quick and simple.
Anything else with your bow? What quiver are you going to go with? You going to go with the same one Dylan has? Or
I think I'm going to go with the detachable, yeah, just in case. So, like, if I'm down in Kentucky and I'm saddle hunting, I can hang my bow.
drop it out?
Yeah.
The other thing I like about the detachable too is for traveling. If you take the quiver off, you don't have to unbolt shit. Or if you go in a case, it doesn't have the bulkiness.
Yeah,
of
is
the
there a
top
loop
quiver.
on top of that so you can hang your bow on the left side of the tree?
No.
Because when I'm saddle hunting, obviously I have the camera on the right, and then the left side is where I want my bow. And if I have that on there, I won't be able to.
Oh, the quiver.
Yeah, I won't be
Yeah.
able to hang it with my public
I've
land
done
setup.
it, and I just kind of go through here with it. I wonder if the newer you know what you could do, and I've seen people do it. They'll take the foam out, drill 2 holes, and just put a loop with a rope tied knots
550 cord
through there.
and then just use that to hang it. Which is I thought about doing that too, but most of my setups for tree stands are all the hooks are coming in on the left
Yeah.
side.
I got you. So let's hear about your setup then, Dylan. We kind of covered Ethan's. His is the brand new, everything new.
Yep.
Dylan's, yours is 2 years old now?
It's a V3X 29-inch.
So 2 generations ago when it comes to
Yeah,
Mathews.
so I had the VXR, and then I sold it and got then they came out the V3, and then now the V3X.
And then they had the Phase 4.
Phase 4, and then
and
the
the
lift.
lift.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah. I'm shooting 75-pound mods on this. They have all kinds of different ones with a 28-inch draw, I think we said.
Yeah, I wrote all your stuff down. So you are shooting a V3X, probably about a 2022 model, we think.
Yeah.
2021. 28 inches, 75 pounds. And we'll talk about your arrow setup in a second after you go through your...
Yeah, so I put a gas string on it. I do really, really like it. I've had them on the past couple bows I've had. They've done really well. This one, for some reason, I'm getting a little more twist, it seems like, with my peep than most of the other ones I had. I do have the Mathews quiver on here. It's a detachable one.
so is it a single piece?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
pops off the side. And I do really like it because I used to never ever shoot with the quiver on, and now I shoot with the quiver on. It just sits so close to the bow. I don't have any issue with balancing or anything. And for out west, that's like a huge thing. You want to have your quiver on. You don't want to leave it anywhere or have to take it off. But this has the same similar technology. I don't know if this was the first year they came out with the bridge lock technology or the second.
I think it was with the V3.
Yeah, because they started with the bridge lock with the sight, and I have a Hogfather Spot Hog sight on here, and this is more of a competition style sight, is what they claim it as, and it is pretty pricey. I think I got that for like $450 or $400 back in the day, and I've had it for probably 8 years now.
So it's
maybe.
ridden on a couple different bows.
Yeah, maybe 7 years, but I love it so much I don't want to get rid of it. I like the dial on the side, smooth. I did have an issue 2 years ago. I don't know if something got inside of it, but I emailed Spot Hog and sent it in. They tore all the guts out of it, fixed it, put it back together, and it slides good as new. So I'm really happy with that. I did. I put the sight in there and I actually cut the bar off of the back just to save a little bit of weight. So it's slid in as far as I want it. And I got the Mathews stabilizer. I think it's an 8-inch. And then I have the Silent Connect system on here, which is nice I've used it climbing up your stand if you don't have a bow rope, which is nice. And we made our own
Pull ropes?
No, our own carriers for them instead of buying the Mathews one because it's like $80.
You're talking about like a
Sling.
paracord
Yeah,
shoulder
the
strap.
sling. Yep,
Yeah.
the sling. So we made our own, and I take that out west with us. I use it every so often, but so far it's been really good. I'm usually at 2. I'll usually keep bows for 2 years and try and sell them, get the new one.
So you're going into your second season. Last year was your first year with it, or second?
No, second.
Second year.
So this
with
is
it?
the longest I've had a bow in a little
So
while.
you're going into your third season with it.
Yeah, I plan on getting a new one this fall or after deer season's over this year. So maybe next spring.
Then what have you killed with this bow?
Some whitetails, mule deer.
Spoiler alert:
two
you shot a
mule
mule deer
deers.
in Montana with it. We haven't
Yeah.
shared that story just yet.
No, well,
This summer.
killed a mule deer. I think I shot a turkey with it, and lots of deer, lots of whitetails. Yeah, it's been a really good bow. Shoots really good. Can't complain about any of the, anything like that. It's super smooth, quiet, fast. And I was shooting at 300 feet per
Yeah.
second.
So talk about your arrow setup, then I'll talk about your specs that we have.
So the arrow setup, I'm shooting Gold Tip Hunter Pros. I've had these arrows for a long time because I used to be a Hoyt guy, believe it or not, and used to shoot these with that bow. It was the RX3, and I got the VXR. Kept shooting them. They shot great, and I've always stuck with them. They've been a good arrow. They shoot really well, fly really well, and believe it or not, as a right-hand shooter, my arrow shoots a right helical out of it, and I know
So it's opposite of.
what everyone says or what it's supposed to be. And these arrows shoot really, really good out of here. So I got tack vanes with I think they're the 2.5 inch or 2 and 3/4 inch vanes with the tack arrow wraps, and they shoot straight.
So that's just a tried and true example of an arrow.
Yeah.
The Gold Tip Pro Hunter, it's got to be one of the first premium arrows that they came out with. It's
Yeah.
probably been out for 15, 20 years, if
Yep.
not more. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, and they changed the design of them. I did find out that their company got bought from somewhere in Mexico. I think Gold Tip is
Gold
now
Tip did?
out of Mexico, which I'm not
They're
fond
probably
of.
in like that huge conglomerate.
Yeah,
like
I'm not
Plano
not
and stuff.
great about it, but if I go to get a new bow, depending on my arrows I have, that's why I look at it. Is I don't want to. I have 13 of these arrows still. If I lose 6 of them this year, then I'll probably get a new arrow set up. But if I have 12 and I need 2 more for a trip or something, I just keep buying a couple here and there. So
And it's a pretty chubby arrow, and it's a pretty light arrow, because those are the original Gold Tips, so they're the XT style. So if anybody knows anything about Knox or tips or anything, it's basically the fattest arrow they make before getting into like the big fat target arrows.
yeah, yep.
So your arrow was 404 grains. This is his target setup. Obviously, when he's hunting, it might be a little bit different with Luminox and stuff like that. But today, you're shooting 404 grains at roughly 299, 300 feet per second. That was giving him a kinetic energy of 80.7 foot-pounds. And his arrow was 9.6% on the FOC scale. So it's definitely a lighter arrow, less FOC, so it doesn't quite fall into the hipsters these days.
Yeah,
But I mean, he killed
But that arrow kills.
Yeah.
Just give a short little explanation of your mule deer kill this year. We'll tell the full story later on when we talk about Montana.
it was a 90-yard shot pass through.
Yeah, complete pass through, 90 yards.
Center punched him, heart shot.
Hunting hill country mule deer in Montana.
Yeah, and I haven't had
And that's also shooting a Rage, what is that, a Taipan?
Tripan. Yeah.
Tripan?
Yep.
So
And
a giant Rage broadhead.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the expandables. I know some people aren't. I've never had an issue with them. I've shot fixed blades before, and I could not get the arrow flight down in the tuning process, and these flew. I jumped down the rabbit hole a while ago about tuning, and I'm really happy with the setup. I could go a little heavier of an arrow, but
You haven't had the need to.
I haven't, and I really think that speed helps. Obviously, your kinetic energy hitting that animal with a heavier arrow is probably going to get more penetration. I understand that, but I'm confident. I took this elk hunt last year. I'm confident that it'd rip through an elk. I mean, it's just always been a good setup.
Yeah,
for me.
tried and true setup.
Yeah.
So way different than the hipsters. And if anybody has any comment on that, they can go look at Dylan's trophy wall and
And then
and see.
another question is so you said you shoot your arrow spin to the right. Was that before or after your new string? Or
After.
it was after?
I tune everything with the gas or with
So-
the
So
strings
that's
on it.
getting real nerdy into it, but they
Yeah.
say your string twist has to do with how your arrow's going to come off your bow.
Yeah, it does. And
But they say right-handed shooters typically have a left helical or a left spin on the
yeah,
arrow.
so theoretically, when the company set that out, they sent it with the left, and then you shot with the right. So whoever put your string on just twist it to the right. I mean, there's no difference.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't make that much of a difference out of the bow.
The only difference is when it doesn't match and you shoot the wrong helical to the way your arrow's spinning,
And
then
you'll
have
be able to tell.
But
erratic arrow
even
flight.
then, the arrow only gets this far out before it starts spinning the other way.
Yeah.
It's such a quick change over. It doesn't really matter.
So we are going to this summer sometime we're going to get the high-speed cameras out. We're going to shoot all of our bows with the high-speed camera to see how our arrow flight is, to see how the spin is, because I'm real curious on my setup. I shoot a straight fletch, which I'll talk about in a minute, because I was having some erratic arrow flight when I shot the helical. So I'm not sure why that is, but we're going to do some high-speed camera testing this
To
summer.
be honest, I shot left helical. I fletched a couple left helical arrows.
Do they shoot okay?
It's,
It almost shot the same
same,
exact.
So I'd be really
they
curious.
Did fly a little different though. They weren't like this arrow is a dart going on my bow. Obviously, in the wind, it might get a little.
Did they seem a little fishtaily? So maybe that's
Yes,
just it correcting
that's what
itself.
it was, and I think that's what it was too. Is just correcting itself. But these, I mean, I practice 100 yards, and these things on a normal day, not windy, they just fly
fly like
really,
bullets.
really, really good.
So we are going to test that this summer.
and you
Our
shoot
new-
a 70-pound draw?
75.
75.
Yeah.
It's
So-
crazy how short your draw length is. That's why you can shoot a 340 spine.
Well, I figured, a little bit heavier helps me with my shorter draw length, and 340. I don't know. It's always been good. My VXR, I had a 70-pound on it, and I figured for this year I wanted to get a little more speed, a couple years ago I wanted to get a little more speed out of it, and doesn't really seem to be a difference for me. But with shooting a lighter arrow set, I think it helps.
Yeah, it is
with the
kind of
extra
confusing too. The spine charts, it all depends on your draw length, the IBO speed of your bow, and then also
speed.
your
we'll
arrow
talk
length.
about that too.
yeah, so
'cause
not your
that's-
draw length, your arrow length. That's
Well,
what makes the difference.
Well, your draw length definitely makes a difference as well. Because if you're shooting a 28-inch draw length and a 30-inch arrow, you're going to have way more power coming out of your bow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because we have some interesting.
Yeah, we have some interesting
things
numbers.
that we came across.
But anything else on your setup?
No.
What's the fancy stand? Have you always had that?
Yeah, I got it. I use it for target practice.
I guess
Close
turkey hunting
range.
probably helps.
Turkey hunting, it helps for sure, just because your bow's not laying in the mud. But this is the Mathews stand that they have. Wraps around both the limbs. It's a 3-foot system.
So it holds
works.
it pretty
It
securely.
does. I mean, if you're on uneven ground, it's sometimes I'll set it in the grass and it kind of gets a little wobbly. But I like it. If I'm shooting long range, I take it off just because I want what I'm going to be shooting in the field on my bow. I'm not going to have that in the woods.
Yeah, so
other if I'm turkey hunting.
It'd be
or
great
something.
for late season blind hunting.
It is. That's why I use it for that. Just close because late season I'm not going to be shooting far. So
All right. Lastly, we'll talk about my old girl. So I have that's a Mathews VXR 28 axle to axle. I think it's a 2019 model. So it's coming up on 5 years old. This was my first upgrade from my old crappy Ross cardiac bow. So this was like my first modern bow. I've had it for 5 years. No complaints about it. It's a pretty basic setup. Shooting regular Mathews quiver. Vapor Trail limb driver rest, which this was like the original.
upside down quiver.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. So the quiver is mounted upside down, which is because of this limb driver rest, because it goes off the top cam. This was like the original limb driven rest. Now they have ham skis and stuff that'll run off the bottom limb, but I can't run my quiver on the top because it interferes with the limb driven system of this rest. And then I'm just using an HHA Tetra something. I think it's like pretty much their default sight that they make. Nothing fancy. And that's my bow. But I'm shooting 29.5 inches and 70 pounds.
You just switched from 75 pounds.
Yes, so recently this season I switched from 75 pounds to 70 because I was getting a lot of erratic tuning issues from the 75 pound, and I think because I was shooting such a long draw length, short axle to axle, and high weight, that it was really affecting the performance of the bow pretty much. But since I switched to the 70 pounds, it works a lot better, and it seems like it's easier to tune. I've only had them for a couple months, so we'll see. And my arrow is a Easton 5mm. It's about, 30 inches long, 29.5. But it's got a 75 grain insert, so I'm shooting 527 grains. And I was getting 276 feet per second with this. So this gave me a kinetic energy of 89.1 foot-pounds. which was the most out of either of our
Yeah,
bows.
which makes sense because you have the
Yeah.
heaviest arrow.
And the interesting thing, so let's talk about comparing our bows. My bow actually shot Ethan's arrow faster than his, and we're not really sure why that is.
He has a longer draw length. You have the same poundage. Ethan has a longer draw length, and you would think.
Longer axle too. This is 28.
So yeah, this is a
And I
VXR
wonder
28.
if that has something to do about it. Some of you guys might know the reason why, but I'm wondering if the axle to axle being shorter at 28 with the longer draw would make it quicker than the longer axle to axle. Because if you think about it, your angle on your string is a lot deeper than his is. So
Rotating
I'm
the
thinking,
cams
yeah,
more.
I think you're getting more velocity out of that than a longer bow.
It's possible. I didn't mention I'm shooting Rogue bowstrings on mine, which these are new strings this year. And Cromer, who set this up, said I may gain some feet per second with these strings.
Yeah.
So maybe versus the stock Mathews strings.
Yeah, I'm using the new match grade. That's what they
true.
call it. The match bowstring from Mathews this year. It's brand new.
It's a zebra, isn't it a zebra string?
No,
Or they
they're
stopped
match.
using
So
it?
with the
Okay.
lift, they went to a match bowstring. They call it.
Yeah. So
Zebra
Ethan's
strings.
bow shot. We both shot his arrow, which is 460 grains. His shot at 288 feet per second roughly, and mine was right around 300 feet per second, 299-ish. So I was about 10 to 12 feet per second faster out of my bow, even though his is a longer draw length, same weight, which was just
The only thing
Weird.
That makes
it's
sense.
very interesting.
Yeah.
We thought my bow was going to smoke theirs out of the water.
Yeah, and you shot my arrow, and yours was
I did shoot Dylan's lighter arrow, which was a 404 grain at 308 feet per second,
yeah,
and you're shooting about 300.
yep. And then
So-
I shot yours at 260, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you shot the 527 grain arrow at 261
Yeah.
feet per second.
So, if you guys want to know why I don't shoot a heavy arrow,
Shooting slow.
I'd rather get the speed than give up that.
Yeah. Oh, and my FOC on my arrow is 11.9%, so a little bit less than Ethan's. And I think that's just because your arrow's a little longer, probably. Because you have a 50 grain outsert, I have a 75 grain insert outsert type.
Yeah.
That's what gives my arrow that extra heftiness. And Dylan's just shooting regular
Which
insert.
I decided that I did not need the extra heftiness with my arrow setup.
Lastly, with arrow setups, we know Dylan's shooting the the Rage Tripan, right?
Yep.
That's what it's called. What are you going to shoot this year?
Sticking with the Schwacker, just a 1.5 cutting angle.
Are they 1.75? I think.
It
Regular
depends on
ones?
which ones you get.
Okay.
But I like it because it's on point on impact is when it opens up, and then it's a very slim design for the broadhead when it's flying through the air. So it's not that much different than my field point setup.
Yeah. I think I'm going to continue shooting the Slick Trick Raptor trick that I shot last year and 2 years ago. I had pretty good luck with those. They look about like the Schwacker. They're over-the-top expandable.
Yeah. I used to
And-
shoot the Slick Trick Grizz tricks, or
Yeah, those are the fixed blades.
yeah, and I actually killed my 200 with that, and I just couldn't tune it right. I had issues. Close range was all right, but when I was shooting 50, 60 yards, I couldn't figure it out. It was
That's
driving
the
me-
endless issues
driving
I
me
have with
fucking
them as
nuts.
well. What else did we shoot today? Oh, we shot our recurve bows. That's a little interesting.
Yeah.
So Dylan is shooting. What is your bow called? It's a 45-pound recurve.
It's a Martin
It's a
Hunter.
Martin Hunter.
Yep.
He has a 585 grain arrow, and you were shooting roughly 150 to 160 feet per second.
Yep.
Which seems slow, but I'm not sure how that correlates to a normal
Yeah, I don't know.
recurve
I
bow.
don't know what the normal recurve's supposed to be because I just started diving into this entourage here just recently this year. I really plan on shooting a turkey with it in Ohio this year, so I just got broadheads this week. I ended up getting the Iron Wills.
Fancy broadheads.
Yeah, they're 150 grain broadheads with an 85 grain outsert, and I just shot them today for the first time, and they flew absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and
I mean, they're straight as an arrow. They fly beautiful.
Quiet. I
Yeah,
couldn't believe how
very
quiet it was.
I think it's quieter shooting those than it is my field points. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it slows it down a little bit or
Yeah.
something. And then I shot my recurve as well, which is like it's a cheaper bear model. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like $150. 50-pound bow. And it was shooting, my arrows are 580 grains, so just about the same as Dylan's. And I was getting like 176, 175 feet per second.
Yeah.
So a little bit faster, but that's probably due to my
longer draw length.
Yeah.
What else did we shoot? Oh, I shot my old bow, old Ross Cardiac, with this same arrow setup, and it shot like 240 feet per second.
Yeah.
Something like that. So with this new bow, I'm getting an extra 30 to 40 feet per second, plus a whole lot more accurate and quieter.
And it makes a I think speed is a huge thing with longer distance shoot range, because when you shot your mule deer, you said you watch your arrow just lob and went into there. That would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
I just like a dart.
And then I shot my Hoyt Powerhawk from 2009, 30-inch draw, 70 pounds. My arrow setup is a Hunter Pro 340,
which
with
is 450 grains.
Yep.
And you got 255 feet per second.
So I increased.
So you're shooting about 30 to 35 feet per second more.
But it was due, and that Hoyt is so loud.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's like, bling! I did kill deer with it last year, though.
You
and
could
I also
probably
missed
get
one.
about $100 from out of that bow.
To me, on the wall relic hanging here in the shop.
All right, that's our bow rundown. Is there anything else you guys want to share about your bow rundowns?
No,
nothing too
Pretty
crazy.
much it.
If you know why their bow shoots faster than mine,
gotta-
besides the weight arrow, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is interesting. 5-year-old bow, same less draw length, same weight, will shoot the same arrow
Faster.
10 to 12 feet per second faster.
Yeah.
Which is strange.
Yeah. A new thing that they came out with, I think the V3 or the V3X, which I was interested to possibly get, but it's the, what do they call that? In the stay of field system with the cam, so you can take your limbs out, and it has the slots and the cams.
Yeah, the lift does have that.
Yeah.
So you can pull your string back a little bit, and they give you a short section of string.
It's basically a in the field bow
press.
Yeah.
So it holds your cam, so you can repair your knocking
strings,
point,
your cables,
your peep, and you can repair all that stuff in the field. Mine does not have that.
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool feature. But
did your lift come with one of those strings or no?
No, you have to buy those.
Yeah, he just handed me the bow. Said, here you go.
Yeah, you have
You
to
didn't even
buy
get a
them.
box?
Nope.
It's bizarre. Where'd you buy that thing?
Premier Outdoors in
Mount
Millersburg.
Mount
Hope,
yeah.
yeah. Cheapest on the market down there, so I wasn't too upset.
I do know some guys that run back bars too, and I tried it and I don't like it.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never shot with one.
I
So
have.
that's the bar that comes off. So that mounts to this.
Yeah,
screw
just
hole.
right
Yep.
here, and then
Yeah, and that
Interesting.
compensates weight for quiver and stuff. But honestly, with this quiver setup that Mathews has, I don't notice it. You know, obviously if it's windy, you get a little more wind push with the fletchings on your bow, but it's I can never go back.
one thing I do want to touch on the sights too. You guys both shoot spot hogs, correct?
No, mine's an HHA.
So HHA,
Yeah, this is spot hog.
spot hog. So you guys' dials on the right side. My chart is right there in front, so I don't have to kind of look around.
Yeah,
the
so when
edge.
you're looking through your bow, you can see it. Ours,
Yeah.
you have to hold off to
Yeah.
the side a little bit.
Yeah, but I've so used to this because I've had it for so long that I know exactly what to do. And if you guys are thinking about getting a single pin sight, I encourage you. Like what I used to do to practice is I'd walk around the yard. I'd have a couple targets out, and I'd have an arrow knocked. I'd keep my sight at 20 yards. I'd stop, range, dial down, draw back, like almost trying to be a scenario for hunting. You know, you come up on a deer steps out or something like that. It really helps with, because that's one extra step with a single pin you have to do is crank the dial down, which I could never go back to a 2 or a 3, 4, or 5 pin sight.
No, I tried shooting a 3-pin.
can't.
Actually, on our big trip last year, I had a 3-pin sight on my bow, and I think that led to some of my difficulties in shooting because I wasn't so used to it. Put the single pin back on, and I shoot so much better.
Yeah. Well, it's just the
Just a
focus.
less crowded
It's the focus
field
that
of
you
view.
have. Yeah. Focus on one dot.
I was actually getting a little bit of target panic when I was shooting the 3-pin just because of how crowded the target picture was. And so my pin would hit the target, and I'd jam that trigger and stuff. And
Yeah.
it completely went away when I started shooting the single pin again.
Yeah. We can talk about releases.
Yeah, what
That's
are
what
you
we're shooting? I'm shooting. I have the Spot Hog, the Wise Guy. It's got the BOA system on here. Click it,
What's it
spin
say?
it,
What's it say on the side?
keep hammering.
Yeah, that's
Cameron
right.
Haynes edition. Yeah,
He's got the Keep Hammering edition.
I like Cameron Haynes.
Yeah, he's a likable guy. He's
I wear his camo.
Yeah.
Ethan does wear his Origin camo.
I do like him. But it is a good release. I do like it. It's not the enclosed trigger. You kind of hook it, which I like because it's for shooting a single pin. It's a lot quicker to get
hook
on
it
your
on.
D loop rather than have to sit there and shake. And I've done that before, and it takes time, And I think Ethan's shooting the same.
I have the same thing, but not the boa. I don't have the boa.
Yeah, you have the leather strap.
Yeah, I just have a leather strap, so I can place it in the same place every time. I actually meant to order that, and I just fucked it up when I ordered it. Yeah. Showed up, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I'm shooting. Well, I use a Scott Little Goose mostly. I started using a 3-finger thumb release this year, so we'll see if I keep up with it when it comes to the season or not. I like shooting it at a target so far, but come hunting season, I'm not sure.
It scares me because you can lose it.
Yeah,
and like that would fear like this. It's strapped on your hand. Obviously, anything can happen mechanically. It could break, whatever. But it's just you can lose it.
Yeah, when you're hunting all day, you know that
if
it's
you have
on your arm.
like I would make sure I had the same
extra,
the same exact one set up the same way in my pocket just in case. Because if you have a lot of people leave it strapped on their bow, gets clicked, falls off. You have it in your pocket. You're stalking a deer. You have to reach in there, grab it. It worries me.
And with these modern bows, modern archery, you are so screwed if you don't have that release.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because you're not shooting these things with fingers.
No, you
And
can
then,
try.
Kevin from Born Again messed up his brand new lift with a 3-finger release like that.
What did he
Shot it through here, yeah.
How did
He
do that?
it slipped out of his fingers, and then it went with the string, and then hit here.
Oh God.
And
See,
it tore it.
I watch a lot of people shoot those 3-finger releases, which mine's sitting down somewhere, and they'll literally hold them on, kind of like you shoot your recurve bow.
They put their
they'll hold them
knuckles
on their
chin.
last, but they'll be like barely on their last knuckle.
Yeah.
I almost grasp mine a little bit more inside my fingers.
Yeah.
Because it is a little scary when you're pulling it back.
It is.
And
You
that's
let
what he
go
did.
or
He tried to
It's raining.
redo his grip and just went.
It's too much for me.
Interesting. And it screwed his bow
Oh
up.
yeah, had to take it down to Premiere to get worked on. Well, actually,
shit.
Chrome was working on it. Yeah.
Scares me.
Yeah. So those are our bow setups. One more important thing. What did we do today, Dylan?
Put in our applications
Yes,
for
we did.
Utah.
So we put in our applications for our Western hunt this year. I think those are the only applications we're putting in, besides buying preference points. So we're going all in on Utah.
Yeah.
We're going, so this is if we draw the tag, which we're not going to say the unit or anything, but we should have a pretty good chance to draw it with the amount of points we have. It's somewhere we've been in the past, and we're excited to go back. Early season, high country or desert.
Yeah.
The unit kind of has both.
We have a really good game plan, too. We have a new camping spot we're thinking about going to be up higher. We know there's water in the area. So, I mean, the plan is there's not a lot of people there. Try and get in there for 7 days. We're going to have, 2 weeks? Roughly?
Yeah, we'll have roughly 2 weeks to hunt. So
we're
about probably 10 to 14 days of actual hunting time.
We know there's deer there. We know there's very big deer there.
It's where I killed my velvet little forky a couple years ago.
Yeah, but the biggest thing we screwed up on is not staying at the top.
Yeah, this was our first. It was our first high country hunt that any of us had ever done. So we were really trying to navigate the water, the situation, the altitude situation, the time, the blah blah blah. So we have a much better plan going into this year. We know what to
I feel very confident.
expect a little bit better.
Very confident because if we're on top, we can kill deer.
So this is gonna be Mountain Muley's Volume 2.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get some fuzzies on the ground. We're going early. We're going in August.
It's just gonna be me and you.
Yeah.
Yep.
No
No one
Spanny
else
this
going.
year.
I wanted to go, but I got a new job, so I
Yeah.
can't go.
Rest in peace, Spanny. Spanny's not going because he is having a kid.
We will see
Shortly.
you never.
Tomorrow, today, maybe right now.
Yeah,
we don't
maybe
know.
right now. I don't think he's at the hospital yet.
No, he's waiting on the phone call.
But that's about it for today. Nice little short one, just 3 of us.
Yeah.
You guys have anything else?
If we said anything outlandish that we were wrong, let us know.
Yeah, because
We're not experts.
We are by no means expert on bows. We
I
just
just
went
like to
through.
hunt.
We went through our setups. We get a little bit technical into it, but obviously there's going to be people that know a lot more. So if you notice anything we said that was wrong or that we can improve upon,
Call
let
us out.
know.
We don't give a
Yeah,
shit.
you can call us out. We really don't care.
Yeah.
If you're really into this stuff and you want to come on the podcast, let us know and we might have you on.
Yeah. You know more than us.
Yeah.
Which is not hard.
So this is the Deer Shot Podcast, episode 37. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.